Broadcasting from Manhattan Beach and the World Wide Web, you're listening to CHSR, HealthyLife.net.
As a service to our listeners, this program is for general information and entertainment purposes only. CHSR HealthyLife.net does not recommend, endorse, or object to the views, products, or topics expressed or discussed by show hosts or their guests. We suggest you always consult with your own personal, medical, financial, or legal advisor.
Greetings. You're listening to Guiding Stars Evolutionary Astrology Radio. I'm here with my friend and colleague, Rose Marcus from Vancouver, Canada. Hi, Rose.
Hi, Kristin.
Yeah,
Good to be.
Just before the show started, and we've been doing audio for a long time. Maybe we'll surprise you someday and do video.
Maybe. But this is a bit of a new format, so hopefully the recording is clearer for all of our loyal listeners out there.
Yeah, we have shifted, and hopefully things are loud and clear now. And let us know if it's not to your liking and if you're not hearing us clearly. But that was our goal. So anyway, before we get started, this is the end of September. Happy fall and spring to those down under. The weather is changing here. The days are getting shorter. It's hard for me to wake up. I don't know about you, Rose.
Oh, yeah. I'm shocked at how dark it is in the morning and how dark it is early in the evening now.
Yes, but change is good. Change reminds us that we are hopefully evolving. And yeah, it puts us in a more reflective place, I think, as the fall shifts. It's my favorite season. So I do love spring too. For those of you in Australia, maybe you're seeing the blossoms and the blooms, but it does remind us that everything changes no matter what we are experiencing or going through, even if it's a hard thing. If it's a good thing, we don't want the change. Anyway, before we get started, I want to remind you all that we do have a conference coming up. Jeffrey Wolf Green Evolutionary Astrology Conference. It's online the weekend of October 6th through the 8th. You do not have to be there to be able to access the teachings if you're traveling or not going to be around. You can also drop into individual classes and access the teachings a la carte if you would prefer. But anyway, check it out because the prices are going up, I believe, on October 1st. So if you're hearing this after the fact and, oh no, reach out to us. Maybe there's something that we can do, but please try and sign up before the 1st so you can get the lower rate if you're planning on joining us. So JWGAEA Association.
Yes.com.
.org.
.org. JWGAEA.org.
.org. Yeah,
Yes.
that's what it is. All right. And if you run into any problems with that, reach out to Rose or myself. So very much looking forward to the weekend and coming together with all these evolutionary astrologers that, Rose, you and I have had the great fortune of teaching with before live, most of them live. We have a special guest, Demetra George, who's doing an asteroid goddess talk as well, and a few new speakers at the conference. So very excited about that.
Yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled. And sooner or later, we will do another live conference. But this is your opportunity to join us, and can't say enough about it. It'll be wonderful. It's great to be there live online, and you have the lectures to listen to afterwards as well, too.
Right, exactly. At your leisure.
At your leisure.
Of your own home. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we are recording this during Pisces moon, so Rose and I are a little floaty, right leading up to this super full moon in Aries. Rose, you're in Aries, so you're probably looking forward to that. And when I think about the Pisces energy right now, it's something is culminating. It really does feel that way. Not just within a month, but we are in a new season, getting ready to cross the threshold into that Aries energy. And we're also preparing for eclipse season. I can already feel that. There is going to be a pair of eclipses in the month of October, which Rose and I will be talking about. Are you feeling that energy already?
Oh, yeah. And, it is interesting because, first of all, let me just mention about the full moon, which is September 29, the day that we are broadcasting our show. And it takes place at 2 something in the morning in Pacific time. And the eclipse, the super eclipse, is the last of 4 super moons in a row. And it's in the sign of Aries. So today, as we're recording, the moon is traveling through Pisces and feeling that kind of energy of a little lost, a little fluid, a little kickback, but as soon as this eclipse moves in, as soon as the moon moves into Aries, I think you'll feel that surge of energy. It's such a difference moving from Pisces to Aries energy, really dynamic. But what is interesting about this super full moon is the position of Mars. Mars is at 21 degrees of Libra for the super full moon. And 21 degrees of Libra is the degree of the solar eclipse on October 14. So, yeah, Kristin, eclipses start to energize at least the month before. You can start to pick up that energy, and I always feel that, and I always start to stay on alert for, what's happening, what's the buzz, what's coming my way, what are people talking about. You see it with clients. Everybody, is kind of facing the same kind of energy. Everybody's life is different. Of course, circumstances are different, but everybody feels that pull. So indeed, something dynamic is starting to build, and we've just come out of Mercury retrograde, and we're just. I think September is always a shift month, anyway, isn't it? In terms of now, it's time to get into whatever it is that you've been putting off, or haven't gotten around to, or haven't gotten yourself organized towards. All of that kind of stuff.
Well, Libra can be so much of a fence-sitting energy, kind of weighing your options. And to put Mars in Libra, Mars doesn't really like to be in Libra at all. It's very uncomfortable there. It's waiting on people, perhaps, or maybe you're swinging to extremes. You're experiencing one thing one moment and another emotion the next. Boy, I am really hearing from clients that are going through this swinging of extremes. It's very uncomfortable to and so to have Mars, the ruler of the super full moon in Aries on the 29th of September, yes, at the same degree as the eclipse on the 14th of October, that is really activating the next 2 weeks, even more so than usual. And also what I do love, though, here comes the Sag. Venus is in Leo sextiling Mars. So Venus rules the upcoming eclipse on the 14th, and it is sextiling Mars. We talk about this a lot, Rose. It's a resourceful energy, but it's also an opportunity, if you're having some imbalance in your relationships, to find a place to meet. Find your way to the same page. And so there's a partnering of sorts that is happening. It's how can we work together? It is how can we find a place where we're both feeling like we can do this, we can work with this, instead of both of us feeling at odds.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And for this super full moon on Friday the 29th of September, Venus forms a square to planet Uranus. Yes. Which is in the sign of Taurus and retrograde. We have Jupiter retrograde in Taurus, we have Uranus retrograde in Taurus, and then we have this nice Venus in Leo trigger. So Venus in Leo has been with us since the middle of June because of the recent retrograde, and of course Leo has to do with standing in your own creative center. So this Venus and Uranus, that goes pop, right? In terms of the Libra principle of trying to work it out with other people and that imbalance and feeling, Libra, as we always talk about, is the archetype of enmeshment and codependency. And so I can't do this because I need you here too, or, you fill in that other blank, but it's not quite working that way, and so on. This Venus square Uranus brings in some kind of new impulse, new creative impulse, a new idea, a new impetus here in terms of how I can stand in my own creative center. And, the whole point with Libra is to make a win-win out of it, right? I think you were just talking about this in terms of a conflict you have had. We just talked about this, and in terms of it, instead of attacking it and coming on as an antagonist or coming on with a fight, is to find the middle ground, or to find the win-win in that for you, right? So, and I think that that's part of what the dynamic is right now. Mars in Libra is in the quincunx aspect to that planet Uranus, is, and that's an aspect of, I have to, it's frictional. It requires an adjustment. I've got to find a better way. And I think the Venus in Leo is coming back down to what is going to serve me best. And what serves me best should also work for you. Well, and I also think, let me just say as well, too, Moon in Aries, that's coming from my center, not, when we do the Aries Libra, and a lot of times when that's not well set, we come from the point of other instead of from the point of self.
Right. Well, definitely this is maximum. There is a maximum stretch in this energy, and it's actually stretch till it, even like elastic, till it breaks. Sometimes when you pull on elastic so far, even if it doesn't break, if you pull it beyond where it wants to go, it will never come back to the way that it was. So this is what these energies can also create, where you can take something to such an extreme, you're going to want to walk it back and wish you didn't go that far. So I think it's important for people, especially with this full moon in Aries, to be thoughtful before you say too much, or, just really considering all the people involved. We were talking about a situation in my life, and, involving a neighbor. And, we've all had these situations, I think, with neighbors at one point in our life. We can't choose our neighbors. So, but, to think about in these situations also that, it's important to step forward with something positive in a situation, like, thank you so much for whatever it might be that you're wanting to acknowledge first. And my mom taught me this, when you come into a space with gratitude or with appreciation for something that is working, or that you're recognizing efforts have been made, thank you so much for that. It creates, the defenses come down, right? So even in a relationship, if you're not liking someone's behavior, but maybe other things have been working well, to really acknowledge that first, to bring down those defenses. Because when that behavior is triggered in us, we want to just throw fire to fire, and that's not going to resolve anything. So one thing I do love in this situation is, I can tell you right now that when I was kind, when I was appreciative of something, the body language of my neighbor completely morphed before my eyes. It was like, oh my goodness, wow. I just found a friend in this person all of a sudden, because we all want to be acknowledged or recognized, or for things that are working, for the efforts that we are making, sincere efforts. And that we're all human in the end. We all have hearts. We all have emotions. We all have feelings, and they need to be acknowledged. So what I do love about this, the timing of this particular full moon, is that Mercury in Virgo is also trining Uranus. Uranus is so much a player this weekend. It's squaring Venus and in conjunct Mars. When I look at those two aspects, Rose, I just literally, my hair stands on end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it sort of like puts you at the edge of your seat, right? Like, oh my God, what is going to happen? I don't know. It's so Uranian. I have no idea what's going to happen. But you start to weave in these other energies, like Uranus trining Mercury, or Mercury trining Uranus being the faster mover. There is a solution. There is a solution here. Even if something doesn't look like it can be fixed, there's a solution in your life with that aspect. And I will also say too that the Venus sextiling Mars is a huge part of this. So while Uranus is creating so much havoc in some respects, Venus and Mars are pairing up, and if there is a will, there will be a way.
Well, you know, it's quite lovely. I'm just looking at the chart here, and that Venus-Mars sextile. You know, Mercury in Virgo is the midpoint of that, and it is in a first quarter trine to planet Uranus, which calls for, you know, on this super full moon in Aries, calls for me first. I need to make the adjustment first if I want to figure out how to relate to you in a way that is going to be better for me, then I'm going to have to make that adjustment. And that might be, as you said, I've done that too. You know, when you come at somebody who is expecting you to be an adversary, and you come in and say, "Hey, listen, I want to help whatever here," or
Exactly.
you know,
how can I help?
How can I help? You see the shoulders drop.
Honestly,
Right?
how can I help have got to be, how can I, those are 4 of the magic words.
Yeah.
Most magic words. How can I help you? That would be 5, but how can I help? Like, you know, that is something that, oh wow. I mean, it just changes everything. So what I will mention is, well, Venus has, as the ruler of Taurus, it has to do with our magnetism, the energy. And Uranus is really our vibration, our frequency. And you combine it with Venus, it becomes your soul's vibration, or your magnetism. So the energy that you're sending out in combination, it's a very much a Venus-Uranus energy. And for them to be squaring, it does suggest there has to be an adjustment. You know, if you're really coming at something or someone or a situation, or really wanting something, maybe you're interviewing for a job and you haven't heard back, or, you know, whatever else it might be. You're right, Rose. When we shift the inner reality that we have, our inner vibration, when we clean it up, and, you know, maybe we take a walk and just get out of the house and clear the field, clear the energy field. We just do something positive for ourselves that creates a shift of energy. We sit in a meditation, we pray about it, we read something positive, whatever we can do to bring into our magnetic field something that allows for a sudden shift. It can produce a dramatic outer reality change. That's what it's also about.
Yeah, and what I like about that too, that Venus-Uranus aspect here, is that it's fast. You know, so it just can be an instant, this flash that goes, oh, I'll just do it this way, which is part of that super full moon in Aries, right? And then that's instinct, right? You know, instincts are triggers that the soul sets up to get you moving.
Mm-hmm. And I would say if you experience this in a negative way, if somebody's experiencing this in some kind of traumatic way, it's really important to be objective about why that might be true, right? Objectivity is Uranus. It's trining Mercury. So literally analyzing for yourself, you know, why did I call this in? What could I have done? You know, how could I have created a pivot? How could I have pivoted in this situation to avoid that kind of confrontation? Was I reactive or was I responsive? And so, it'd be great, you know, to catch it before it happens. But if it does happen and it's uncomfortable, or it's caused you some kind of unexpected experience, that would be an important thing to immediately, in the throes of all that emotion, to ask yourself why.
Absolutely. And if it does happen in that way, know that Mercury is building that lovely trine to planet Uranus. So it might be shock, it might be interrupting, it might be disruptive. But right after the fact, you might go, well, wait a minute here. I was holding on to that, but it's actually going to be better for me to go in this direction instead.
Exactly. The silver lining.
Silver lining.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, Mercury's already forming. It's so close, a few degrees off that trine. It's building, it's powerful all weekend if you're listening to this podcast this weekend, and it will pull into a trine to Pluto on Tuesday, October the 3rd, and that's the soul. So these are adjustment energies. Mercury's really working to help you make the inner adjustment, maybe even with your choice making, new changes, new steps, new vantage points. It's really helping you become clear about how to move from here on out. And we do have some very supportive energy into early next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll go to a break right now and back in a few.
Find out about Kristin Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristinFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of evolutionary astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristin's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristinFontana.com. That's Kristin, Fontana.com.
Okay, you're stressed. You need a little R&R. Wouldn't going to a spa help? There's all kinds of spas, too. Destination spas, medical spas, day spas, even dental and mobile spas. Where do you find the right spa at the right price? Oh, no, more stress? Well, not anymore. Visit spafinders.com. At spafinders.com, you'll find everything you need to know about spas from around the world. So de-stress. Click on spafinders.com right on our homepage. Ah, I'm feeling relaxed already.
What would happen if you didn't follow the established path? Would you feel scared or proud? Could you explain that helping the people of Peru improve their own community would also have an effect on your own? Would you rather make your own way or spend a lifetime saying, what if? Life is calling. How far will you go? Peace Corps. To find out more, call 1-800-424-8580 or go to peacecorps.gov.
Water. In the hot summer sun, water is a natural thought, like relaxing at the beach with the waves lapping at your feet, or perhaps being with your significant other under a secluded, gently cascading waterfall. If you want a little more action, how about water skiing or boating on an icy, clear blue lake? With Expedia.com, everything you need for travel, flights, hotels, cruises, vacation packages, they have it all at a price you can afford. Go to HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on Expedia.com.
I'm William Shatner, and this is Jimmy. Animals like Jimmy are often left behind by people fleeing hurricanes, fires, floods, and earthquakes. These abandoned animals cannot survive on their own. If you must evacuate your home, please never leave an animal behind. If you absolutely cannot take your animal with you, never leave him helplessly chained or caged. Many animals die because they cannot escape fires or rising waters. Animals need your help. Thank you.
Call PETA today, 757-622-PETA.
HealthyLife.net, the positive radio network.
Okay, so the first 2 weeks of October leading into the eclipse, the new moon eclipse in Libra, we have some significant things happening. We have Venus finally entering Virgo. And what day is that, Rose? I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I have all on October 8th. Yeah. And we do have a bit beforehand. Just before the break, we were talking about that super full moon, and you mentioned the Mercury Pluto trine on the 3rd. On the 2nd, Mercury is opposing Neptune. So I think that whatever happens on this super full moon of the 29th of September could spread out over the weekend and into next week before you are kind of over the hump with it and onto actionable. On the 4th of October, Mercury moves into Libra, And on the 5th, Mars will join with the South Node to go new phase. So we've got all of that kind of starting up the week. And we have Mars, I'll just keep going here for a sec. We have Mars squaring Pluto on the 8th, which is a turn the corner aspect. On the 9th, we have Venus opposing Saturn. And on the 10th, we have Pluto stationing direct. And on the 11th, we have Mars moving into Scorpio. You know, I finished writing my column. I haven't quite put it, well, it's up on my website. I haven't sent it out yet, but usually when I do the column, I list the various aspects that we have, and at the bottom I pick out some dates to watch. And this month I put October 1st to the 31st. and my editor came back and said, "Did you actually need to say this?" And as I was looking at the date, I think that there is something going on every single day, especially because of the nature of the eclipses. It makes the whole month ahead very potent, right? So we're kind of off to the races. And interesting in this whole kind of batch of dynamics here. On the 4th, Mercury moves into Libra, and on the 11th, Mars leaves Libra for Scorpio. So we have this between the 4th and the 11th, Mercury at the start and Mars at the finish of that sign, you know. So I thought that was kind of a pocket of time with these other very dynamic aspects. Mars on the South Node going new phase on the 5th. Mars and Venus are very potent right now because they are the rulers of the nodal axis, the karmic axis. The South Node is Libra, that is Venus, and the North Node is Aries, and that is Mars. So whatever Mars and Venus are doing right now are infused with more than the usual potency in terms of moving you forward. So we've got a lot of action here.
There's just like revolving doors every day.
Yeah.
Doesn't it feel that way?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you on the 2nd, Mercury opposing Neptune. So Neptune rules Saturn and Pisces. Would you consider this to be like a parting of the curtain? Like if something was hidden?
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. And there's some good trines. Moon is trine Mercury and trine Pluto. And so forth. And Neptune, oftentimes we have Neptune or Pisces influences and we have veils. But when we have these transits, what they do, Neptune exposes or reveals that which has been hidden from view or that which is en route. So absolutely, as that moves forward, you get to see whatever it is there that you hadn't seen previously.
Yeah. Right. So that makes sense. We've got right before then Mercury trines Pluto. You can make a clear decision, right, about your path, your future moving forward. That is that little aspect early next week, even leading into, the beginning of October. It's really making things clear. Eclipses do make things clear, even painfully clear sometimes. But they do make things clear. And that is important. You know, I hope I'm not jumping ahead too much, but when Mars does enter Scorpio, I do love that shift in a sense because it does create a certain sort of focus and clarity and bottom line, right? It's trining Saturn in Pisces on its way in versus being in Libra where it doesn't like to be at all. And it is an accelerator at that turn, especially being part of this new moon eclipse on the 14th. We've got Mars in Scorpio trining that Saturn. Thank God is what I want to say because, we've got the new moon eclipse in Libra, but Mars is so anchored to Saturn. So in EA, evolutionary astrology, Mars is the lead point in our evolution. It's our choice-making planet. It makes it very clear to your soul the steps that you need to be taking now as a result of what you've experienced in the prior few weeks. That's
and as you said earlier, Libra is a fence sitter. I should do this, and maybe I'll do this, and I'd like to do this, and it'd be good if I did. And the Scorpio comes in, and you get really committed.
Yes, absolutely committed and determined, and I feel a lot of courage in that energy.
Yes.
Nothing is more important than what I'm doing right now, so I'm going to put my whole soul into it. because I want to do this. I know this is what my soul wants. This is what I want. And I know if I follow through with all of me, then the people that know me and love me will also benefit.
You know, just before we get to the eclipse, as I said, that run of stars, Mars turns a corner with Pluto on the 8th. And then on the 9th, Venus, which has just moved into Virgo, opposes Saturn. So Venus opposing Saturn, that brings you to some kind of conclusion or end of the road, or it's solidifying, right? It is suggesting here that the goalpost becomes clearer, or, with Virgo is the need to correct, to heal, to fix, to improve upon that. When you have that Venus opposing Saturn, it makes it more real. So all of the buildup in the week before, Pluto stationing direct, and then Mars moving into Scorpio, and it's actually the 13th, just before the eclipse, that Mars moves into Saturn. It's spending the whole week kind of building up, getting out of the way, whatever resistance, whatever excuse making, whatever time wasters, with the planets is kind of saying, well, I'll do this, but that Venus-Saturn opposition would show you automatically how that's maybe not going to work, or not going to be good enough to carry you through, and so on, whatever those things are. Scorpio archetypes always eliminate that which no longer serves. So if you have something that's kind of weak, this is the plan, I think I'll do this. And usually, when the plan is weak, it is perhaps because you haven't pieced it all together well enough. And there's always the potential fallback with any Pluto transits in particular, to fall back on the security end of things. I'll do this because I've evaluated that this is what's going to be secure. But the whole evolution of all these transits are to poke holes in anything that might not be secure enough, or strong enough, or corrective enough, or healing enough, or improving enough, right? So it's qualifying, really, this whole week ahead to get to that solar eclipse, which is quite interesting. And on the solar eclipse as well, too, we're going to talk about this in a minute, but I also want to mention this. Eris, E-R-I-S, goddess of discord, which is a slow planetary body, is moving through Aries, and it is conjunct the North Node. And I always look at Eris as a positive catalyst because it's in Aries, right? So that is a motivating force that says, I will not give up on myself. And, and it keeps the fire stoked that says, I want something here. I deserve something. And it requires that I get up out of my chair and do something in order to make this happen for myself. And I always think that that's very positive. Again, initiating, putting that courage into action is exactly what that's about.
It's mobilizing. It is. It's motivating. It'll move you. It'll get you out of bed. It'll get you going for sure. It's like putting a fire under you, and for a good reason.
And for a good reason. Absolutely.
One thing too, all this Libra energy creates a hesitancy, right? So if you're fence sitting, the Virgo mixed with the Libra, and there's a questioning, there's a excuse making with Virgo, there might be a fence sitting with Libra, and all this hesitancy is so not Mars, it's so not Aries, it's so the opposite of. And so it's almost like this energy has been building and building and building. So much you've been wanting to doing. Well, what will she say if I do this? What will he do if I say that? And so there's all of that going on. And then finally, it just feels like right now through this weekend and then moving into October, there can be a rebellion that takes place within you or within someone or a situation where, again, why we all have to be mindful of how we move within these energies. But with Mars moving into Scorpio, trining Saturn, and even as it does, it's still sextiling Venus and Virgo. So you can still be very discerning with your choices. You can still be practical in ways, but there's a degree of commitment and follow through is Virgo too, just working with the details, not just, going full out without paying attention to all your little footsteps and to the people along the way. So I do love that turning point. We probably need to go to a break. And we'll be right back to talk about the eclipse on the 14th.
Find out about Kristin Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristinFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of evolutionary astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristin's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristinFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
Have you ever wondered why you are here on this planet and what the point to all of this is? Evolutionary astrology is a natural science that allows for an understanding of the evolutionary journey of the soul from life to life. Evolutionary astrology provides a vehicle to understand prior life dynamics that have led to the reason and purpose for the life you live. It offers a depth of information and insights about each person that no other type of astrology can provide. As Jeffrey Wolf Green, the founder of evolutionary astrology, says,
for those who wish to unveil the depth of who you actually are, I would highly recommend that you seek out qualified evolutionary astrologers such as Kristin Fontana and other graduated students of the School of Evolutionary Astrology. For those who are considering becoming an astrologer to make it a natural career, I'd recommend that you consider Jeffrey Wolf Green's School of Evolutionary Astrology, where it will assist you in answering and your clients answering a big question. Why am I here? Thanks for listening, and God bless.
Okay, you're stressed. You need a little R&R. Wouldn't going to a spa help? There's all kinds of spas, too. Destination spas, medical spas, day spas, even dental and mobile spas. Where do you find the right spa at the right price? Oh, no, more stress? Well, not anymore. Visit spafinders.com. At spafinders.com, you'll find everything you need to know about spas from around the world. So de-stress. Click on spafinders.com right on our homepage. I'm feeling relaxed already.
Whether you're taking a short trip or traveling across the world, Magellans.com is the world's most trusted source for travel, and they guarantee 100% satisfaction. They have everything you need to make travel just a bit more pleasurable. Who doesn't like that? They have travel alarms, clothing, the best luggage, wallets, everything you need except the ticket. Visit the advertiser page on healthylife.net and click on Magellans now. You will not only see their travel products, but get a free catalog and read articles with tips on how to make your travel easier. Visit the advertiser page and click on Magellans now.
HealthyLife.net, where positive overcomes negative.
And I also want to say that Libra, too, because it is a new moon, and eclipses are more punched up. New moons are full moons, right? And eclipses, solar eclipse will be a more potent ending and a more potent beginning. Now, this particular eclipse is aspected to the south node, which corresponds to the past, right? The Libra archetype is an archetype of contracts, personal contracts, soul contracts. So it has the potency to bring in a relationship from the past, or to dial up again a circumstance of the past in order to move it forward, right? So something we re-meet with the past so that we can take it in a new direction, right? So this is the nature of that eclipse. Venus in Virgo suggests that there's something unfinished in order to move that relationship or circumstance forward. And when it has to do with Libra, it is about how you show up in relationship. It is about relationship, but this is about you finding a bettered equilibrium for yourself, for you finding a better balance here in terms of how you are navigating the whole relationship schematic for you. And relationships in terms of Libra are personal, they're social, and general as well. So that solar eclipse in Libra could signify a new contract regarding work as well as relationships, right? Venus in Virgo, right? So it's got good potential connected to it.
One thing to remind people too, it's going to depend on where this is landing in your chart. what house is in, what aspects to other planets is it making. I don't mean to give Libra a bad rap. I love the archetype of Libra when it's working harmoniously. We all have Libra somewhere in our charts. It's influencing that area of our life. So, check it out for yourself. This eclipse, Rose, too, is in conjunct Uranus. There's Uranus again. And Neptune. So there's a yod that's pointing right to this eclipse. So there's a need for, it's when the moon is involved, this is about our emotional reality. This will affect us all emotionally in some way. And so it's an opportunity to heal the past. It's an opportunity to be a catalyst for change, for a new way to relate to somebody, for example, to let the past go if necessary, and to create a new path forward with somebody that you still really care about and love, potentially. I think that there's a lot of areas that this could influence in our lives because our relationships are everything, right? We live in a world of relationships. We evolve through relationships, whether it's work or personal relationships or family relationships.
And and I'm glad you brought up the yod, because that's exactly the topic for your lecture at the conference as well, too. This yod between Taurus, Libra, and Pisces, which is the lower and higher octaves of the Venus principle, right? And Libra is where we often project onto others, and the fact that this solar eclipse is sitting there in Libra is helping us to make that adjustment. Adjustment is the 150-degree aspect with planet Uranus, and it is calling for, and that this is something that I think is fairly natural in terms of I've gotten to this certain place in my relationships, and I'm now feeling called, my evaluation process is shifting, and I'm recognizing that, and I can't put square peg into round hole anymore like I used to, right? And so it first starts with you. And what I like about this eclipse is that, the circumstances with the sun and moon being in the balsamic relationship to the south node, while Mars is in new phase to that, is suggesting already that Mars is picking up the new instincts and impulses that the soul is programming to assist you to move forward and to make the necessary improvements to the schematic regarding how you are relating to others and to your world, right? So it's got a great potential here to move you out of this stalemate. And I think this year, as I said, the whole year was like moving through molasses. We had so many retrogrades. We're finally getting to this point here where the eclipses are now triggering some progress.
Absolutely. Right. We had so many retrogrades. Going from like snail's pace to, an electric reality. I mean, it's an extreme. Once again, it's so extreme. It's so Uranian.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got this, and then for 2 weeks, this energy is really charged. So even starting today, Rose, and on the 29th of September, solidly till the end of October and 2 weeks following. So we'll just call it the next 6 weeks. And whatever's going on in the next month is going to affect the next 6 months of your life, or symbolize what you are working on or toward. It's highlighting what the next 6 months are going to be about. So, but the next 6 weeks feel very much active, and they're full of catalysts for our life.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a point to make. Solar eclipses, what they do is they open up a pocket of time, and we feel it very strongly around the time of the eclipse, as we're talking about before and after. I always say keep an eye on it, and for the first 6 months. But actually a solar eclipse can resonate over about a 2 to 3 year period. We don't notice it after about the first 6 months, but we're going to hear a lot about this eclipse on the 14th. And I wrote about it, and I put a little thing in my column as well too, because eclipses are effective if they're hitting your chart personally, whatever points they're making in your chart. but there's also the eclipse path, wherever the eclipse is traveling, right? So this eclipse intersects the U.S., from Oregon comes out in Texas and goes right through there, kind of in the area of San Antonio and Austin and Waco. There's an eclipse in April, another solar eclipse on the 8th of April that intersects that as well too. And that eclipse in April is 19 degrees of Aries. So this eclipse is 21, and this is what you're saying, this 6-month period of time, whatever is going right now is triggering through the eclipse season next spring, March, April.
Interesting.
So it will be, and keep an eye on that. Whatever it is that is firing up for you, you're going to see whatever that potential is. One more thing I just noticed with the solar eclipse is that the position of Ceres, which is metamorphic process like Scorpio, it's in the sign of Scorpio, and it's 1 degree off in opposition to Jupiter. So Scorpio Taurus energy as well too. And whenever Ceres is triggered, I always think of it as a resurrection. It is a rebirth of some kind, right? Again, the eclipses are pulling up something from the past that is ripe and ready to be taken to a new level, right? And that's exactly with this Scorpio piece as well too, of uncovering it or resurrecting it or bringing it back to life. And that might be, something from the recent past, or it might be something from a past lifetime as well too. Some of the, important evolution that the soul is choosing to do right here, right now.
Right. And the opposition to Jupiter it's in a resurrection of your truth or something that's authentic within you that wants to be expressed. And it really is a strong symbol for contributing to this, the metamorphosis of our journey, our personal journey, and witnessing it out in the world. So we talk about Scorpio being eliminating the things that don't serve us, and sometimes we need to eliminate those things so the natural things can be unearthed.
So we can uncover the jewels.
Exactly. Uncover the jewels. There you go.
Yeah. So,
what's in between those 2 weeks that stand out for you?
Just before we get to the eclipse, and maybe we should, let's go to a break one more time, and we'll be right back.
Find out about Kristin Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristinFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of evolutionary astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed, personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristin's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristinFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
If you're like the 8 out of 10 women that say finding jeans that fit is a problem, well, your problem is solved. Lee Jeans has done extensive research, and they have jeans that fit. There's even an online Lee Fit Finder so you can find the right fit for you. Imagine jeans that instantly slim you with a custom fit and no gap waistband. And guys, kids, Lee has jeans for you too. Click through to Lee's Jeans on the HealthyLife.net advertiser page and get what fits.
Take one step towards spirit. Spirit will take 1,000 steps toward you. Come explore the world of evolutionary astrology with Rose Marcus. Rose Marcus is well known for her heartfelt passion, sensitive counseling skills, and dedication to helping others. You can now study evolutionary astrology from the comfort of your own home through live teleconference classes with Rose. To register for the next Evolutionary Astrology School, to read your in-depth monthly horoscope, or to book a private astrology with Rose Marcus, please visit her website, www.rosemarcus.com.
Oh, man, it never fails. My suitcase just got ripped apart.
Life is a journey. Make it a pleasant one. Use Samsonite. You know the name. For almost a century, Samsonite luggage has proved itself to be the worldwide leader in innovative travel solutions. Let it be yours. Visit HealthyLife.net's affiliate Samsonite on our homepage and click to look at the fine luggage from suitcases to golf travel bags. And don't forget take a look at their travel accessories. Make life a journey, a pleasant one, with Samsonite.
In college, I took a lot of history and liberal arts classes, and frankly, I don't remember much of any of it. But as an adult, I find myself engrossed in fascinating programs on the A&E and History Channel. They've pretty much helped me to be pretty impressive at social functions, and I just found out today that I can purchase DVDs of my favorite A&E and History Channel programs right through HealthyLife.net. You should visit HealthyLife.net and order your favorite A&E and History Channel program DVDs as well, and then discover how many people you can impress during your next social occasion.
HealthyLife.net, the positive radio network.
All right, so you just asked me, and just on the 19th of October, Mercury and the Sun conjoin, and to remember that Mercury's a fast mover, so it is conjunct the Sun fairly regularly, but to remember that we've just come out of a retrograde cycle, and so this is now the superior conjunction of Mercury and the Sun. And so leading up to the 19th, we're still on that finishing track, working it out track. And, when we have a superior conjunction between a planet and the Sun, it is more illuminating. It's like a full moon. It is the outer expression of that, right? So we see something. So that's the 19th. And on the 20th, Mercury squares Pluto. So that's, again, turning the corner because it's the last quarter square. And then we have this eclipse on the 21st. So, I'm sorry. I meant to say, apologies. On the 21st, Mercury moves into Scorpio. The lunar eclipse is on the 28th, a week later, right? But we're building up something here in the 2 weeks in between the solar eclipse on the 14th and the lunar eclipse on the 28th. On the 23rd, the Sun will move into Scorpio, and there's a lovely trine with Saturn on the next day on the 24th. So yeah, love the trine. As we get to the lunar eclipse on the 28th, according to astronomy, this is a fairly mild eclipse because the moon will not cover the full light of the Sun. But it is pretty dynamic from the astrology end, because both Mercury and Mars will be opposing Jupiter at the time. And on the 29th, Mercury and Mars will go new phase. So what do you think about this dynamic eclipse? And it is 5 degrees Taurus Scorpio.
Yeah, we'll be meeting again just a few days before that, right? So we'll have lots more to say about it for sure. We'll be talking a lot about it. Yeah, as we've talked about with eclipses, they're just pumped up, juiced up new moons and full moons, which brings all of our emotions really to, those nerve endings we feel when we're emotionally charged about something. And, to see Mercury so close to Mars, I mean, we can instinctually want to do something and we can think we want to do something, but when you combine those two planets and you weave them into an opposition to Jupiter, I mean, I see that as just something being forced out, right? And forced out of you. It's just impulsively, instinctually, nothing means more to me than this. That's what it feels like to me. This bold, expressive, whether you're acting out or expressing yourself or finally speaking a truth that you've been holding on to forever, perhaps in a relationship or something that's just been buried in you and burning a hole in you. In a sense, you finally really want to get it out of you. It could also be, I have a client I was just talking to that's, been wanting to write, actually not one book, but 4 books. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. But every time she sits down to write, she just feels stuck or blocked, and it's some energy is not letting her do it. Yet it's something she feels really needs to be written for the planet. That's huge. And I look at this chart and I think, wow, maybe this is going to be the moment for her where she can, and everything can just pour out of her. I could see that happening. in an eclipse like this, because it's all the emotion that is buried within you that hasn't been expressed. That's a good thing to get it out of you. So as a song lyric I love, so it doesn't threaten the life it belongs to. All this emotion, you want it out of you, because by being in you, it's not doing you any good.
Well, I think that's an excellent description of that. And of course, Scorpio, it's a compelling influence, right? You are compelled. And, when it's got to do with Jupiter is retrograde, but, in Taurus, but the moon is in Taurus. And that's going to be a suggestion that it's lucrative, it's valuable, it is ripe and rich with the potential that you can feel, and it is just such an amazing motivational. It's like you've got a full tank of gas, right? And you're just going to.
Interesting too, Rose, with that is that Mercury will move quickly, but Mars will Mars will not move up to that sextile to Venus, but Mercury will, and so Venus rules Jupiter and Taurus. And so you talk about it being lucrative. That's a perfect example. So on the heels of whatever is coming out of you, there's then conversation or negotiation or some kind of details and, communication that allows you to really know that, hey, this thing can land, this thing can be productive, and it can be profitable even potentially if it's something work related.
And I think, too, it's a cut to the chase. That is the right words coming out of your mouth. Negotiating, right? To be really astute to just say the right thing at the right moment in order to get your needs met, right? So it's got all of that. Sharp and shrewd, the one thing, getting directly to the point, it's a Scorpio archetype, no beating around it. This is going to be worthwhile, and I know it. And it is providing you with the initiative to get the job done, whatever it might be. The one thing about it is to be careful about not overestimating, right? Of taking it too far. But because Jupiter is retrograde in Taurus, I don't think it's quite as and Venus is in the sign of Virgo. I don't think the overestimating or overshooting is as much of a problem as it might be if Venus were in Leo, for example, or that Jupiter were direct. So I'm hoping that this setup for this eclipse just gives the right amount of propeller in order to quickly get to wherever it is you need to get to.
Such a good point. That's such a good point with that Jupiter, because we can really make something bigger than it needs to be, or larger than life, or overdoing it. It's like someone going in for an audition and they overact something, right?
Yeah.
Overdo it, when it really just needs to be dialed down a little bit more, because they want it so much. So you're just so expressive. But the retrograde, you're right. It does, meter it out a bit. It helps you reel it in where it needs to be. I was taking a look here, and I was talking about the next 6 weeks just being so electric, so potent, so unpredictable in ways. But, when we're riding this wave and the wave is not up to us, the surf or the ocean or the sea within the wave that is supporting us is in charge of all things. So it's like, the source of all things has the ultimate say in a sense. Yes, we can direct our lives. We can direct our will. We can make those choices, but ultimately the sea is in charge of where it takes us. And so the next 6 weeks, it's important to surrender to the wave, to surrender to your higher will, to really trust that your soul knows where it's going and that you will be able to understand the signs. But also, when I looked out 6 weeks and I just pulled up November 13th, it's a Monday, it does take until then for Mercury actually to sync up with Venus in the way that I wanted it to after that big full moon at the end of the eclipse at the end of October. It may take really till 6 weeks from now before you really know where you stand with something, before you've really expressed all that you needed to, and where you feel back in balance with your being And so give yourself the time you need to, or allow things to be where they need to be and to land where they need to, where you're clear again.
Well, that was excellent, and we're already out of time.
No.
Yeah.
Wow. So how do we wrap this up? We got to wrap it up with a bow. You can do that.
Well, I just think that the month ahead is going to jettison you someplace, and so if you are already in agreement that you want to jettison someplace, then you'll take full advantage of the stars, the best that the stars have to offer. And you and I will be back again at the end of next month, and we will support you more in talking about the eclipse, because it will be just a few days away from occurring.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll just say is a recent client, I asked her, what do you want? She says, I want to evolve, Kristin. So if you want to evolve in the next 6 weeks, you can. Just get in that rocket and go. And that's a wonderful response to the question I asked her. That's what I want for all of us. So until next time, namaste.